Imagine a woman whose influence stretched across two of the world's greatest empires. A woman whose beauty and intelligence became the stuff of legend. A woman who outsmarted the most powerful men of her time, manipulated the course of history, and created alliances that shifted the balance of power for centuries. A woman who did all of this not by birthright, but by sheer will and strategy. That woman was Cleopatra. But what made her so dangerous? Was it her charm? Her political savvy? Or was there something more about her story that history hasn't fully revealed? In this video, we're going to dive deep into the life and legacy of Cleopatra. We'll explore how she rose from being a queen with very little power to one of the most influential figures in world history. We'll uncover the secrets of her political genius, her relationships with powerful men, and her role in shaping the world we know today. By the end, you'll have a whole new understanding of why Cleopatra was not only one of the most fascinating women in history, but one of the most dangerous. Stay with us as we take a closer look at the life of Cleopatra, a woman who mastered the art of power like no one else. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE in Alexandria, Egypt, into a royal family that was no stranger to conflict and drama. Her father, Ptolemy XII, ruled Egypt, but his reign was weak, and Egypt was under the influence of the mighty Roman Empire. The Ptolemaic dynasty, which Cleopatra belonged to, was often unstable, and the throne was often contested. To survive, Cleopatra needed more than just royal blood. She needed allies, she needed strategy, and she needed brains. When her father passed away in 51 BC, Cleopatra was set to rule Egypt alongside her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. However, the situation was far from simple. The throne was contested, and Cleopatra found herself pushed out of power by the court factions that supported her brother. Her brother, a child at the time, was manipulated by these advisors who sought to rule Egypt for themselves. But Cleopatra was no ordinary queen. She wasn't about to sit back and let others control her destiny. She quickly began to form her own strategy to reclaim the throne, and her first major move was to seek help from the most powerful man in the world at the time, Julius Caesar. At this point, Julius Caesar had already become the dominant figure in Rome, and his influence extended far beyond the city. He was involved in a bitter civil war, fighting against his rivals, and Cleopatra saw this as an opportunity to make a bold move. Cleopatra, with her intelligence and political acumen, understood that aligning with Caesar would give her the military power and support she needed to regain control of Egypt. But more than that, she recognized that Caesar was also a man of ambition, and he could see the potential in Cleopatra's reign as well. Cleopatra's charm, beauty, and wit weren't just attractive qualities. They were weapons she used strategically to win Caesar's support. The story of Cleopatra's meeting with Julius Caesar is one of the most famous moments in history. According to legend, Cleopatra had herself smuggled into Caesar's palace in a rug, a dramatic entrance that would set the stage for their complex relationship. Upon meeting Caesar, she immediately impressed him with her intelligence and grace. They quickly formed a political alliance, and Caesar helped Cleopatra regain her throne by defeating her brother's forces. This was a critical moment in Cleopatra's life, as it marked the beginning of her rise to true power. But Cleopatra's relationship with Julius Caesar was not just about politics. It was also personal. Their bond grew stronger, and Cleopatra even visited Rome with her son, Caesarion, whom she claimed was Caesar's child. Their relationship was a symbol of the strong political alliance between Rome and Egypt, and Cleopatra's position as a ruler was solidified. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra was able to stabilize Egypt and strengthen her power. However, this alliance was short-lived. In 44 BCE, Julius Caesar was assassinated by a group of conspirators in Rome. His death left Cleopatra in a vulnerable position. The political landscape of Rome was changing, and Cleopatra needed to act quickly to maintain her power in Egypt. She turned to another powerful Roman leader, Mark Antony. Mark Antony was a close ally of Caesar, and after Caesar's death, he was one of the most influential men in Rome. Cleopatra saw the potential in aligning herself with Antony, and she quickly traveled to meet him. What followed was not just another political alliance. It was a personal relationship that would shape the future of Egypt and Rome. The relationship between Cleopatra and Mark Antony became one of the most famous love stories in history. But more than just romance, it was a calculated political move. Antony and Cleopatra had 3 children together, further cementing their alliance. Their combined forces were a major threat to the political stability of Rome, and their growing power made them enemies of Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and the future first emperor of Rome. Octavian viewed the growing power of Antony and Cleopatra as a direct challenge to his own authority. Tensions between Octavian and Antony escalated, and eventually led to the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. This naval battle, fought off the coast of Greece, was one of the most decisive confrontations in history. Octavian's forces defeated Antony and Cleopatra's combined armies, leading to their eventual downfall. After their defeat, Cleopatra and Antony fled to Egypt, where they both realized their positions were untenable. Facing capture by Octavian's forces, they each chose to take their own lives. Cleopatra's death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty in Egypt and the beginning of Egypt's incorporation into the Roman Empire as a province. Though Cleopatra's life ended in tragedy, her legacy continued to echo throughout history. She was remembered as a powerful queen, an intelligent strategist, and a woman who shaped the political and cultural landscape of her time. Her story is not just one of love and beauty, but one of ambition, survival, and determination. Cleopatra's ability to maneuver in a world dominated by powerful men, to outwit her enemies, and to build strategic alliances made her one of the most dangerous and influential figures in history. Her death was the end of an era, but the story of Cleopatra remains relevant today. She is remembered not just as a queen of Egypt, but as a symbol of power and influence. Her life and reign still inspire countless books, movies, and documentaries, all of which continue to tell the tale of a woman who shaped history. Cleopatra's story is far more than just a tale of a powerful queen. It is a story of a woman who wielded influence in an era dominated by men, outsmarting her rivals with a combination of charm, intellect, and unparalleled political skill. She wasn't simply a figurehead for Egypt. She was its heart and soul, navigating the complex political landscapes of her time with the precision of a master strategist. Cleopatra didn't just sit on a throne. She used every tool at her disposal to secure her reign and protect her kingdom. At the core of Cleopatra's power was her ability to adapt, to read the room, and to make the most of her circumstances. She understood that alliances weren't just about having strong friends. They were about knowing which players on a global stage could help her achieve her ultimate goal, maintaining Egypt's sovereignty while asserting her own control. Her strategic partnerships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were not born out of mere affection. They were calculated moves that made her a key player in the politics of Rome, a world far away from her native Egypt. Her allure wasn't simply physical. While Cleopatra's beauty is often highlighted in popular culture, it was her intellect and sharp mind that made her the most dangerous woman in history. Her command of languages, her understanding of history and strategy, and her ability to adapt to ever-shifting political winds were what allowed her to hold the reins of power. Cleopatra was no passive ruler. She was a force to be reckoned with. The fall of Cleopatra, marked by the defeat at the Battle of Actium and her subsequent death, might seem like the end of her story, but her legacy has endured. Her ability to maintain power in the face of overwhelming odds, to challenge Rome's power, and to fiercely defend her people, left an indelible mark on history. Even in her death, Cleopatra's name continued to echo across the centuries, and her life became a symbol of power, ambition, and the lengths to which one would go to protect one's sovereignty. Her relationship with Caesar and Antony, often romanticized in popular media, was rooted in the complex nature of political maneuvering. These weren't simply love stories, but partnerships that allowed Cleopatra to shape the destiny of Egypt. What she showed the world, through both her alliances and her downfall, was the sheer power of a woman who refused to be powerless. Cleopatra never allowed herself to be just a pawn in the game of politics. She played the game on her own terms, rewriting the rules as she went along. Cleopatra's life was a lesson in resilience. Despite the constant political pressures, the wars, and betrayals, she rose to power and held her ground as one of the most formidable women in history. She was not just a symbol of beauty or romance, but a woman who knew how to turn the tide in her favor, who understood that real power lies in the ability to influence and control the most powerful forces of the time. Today, Cleopatra's legacy continues to inspire. Her life reminds us that power doesn't come from birthright alone. It is earned, shaped, and defined by the decisions one makes and the alliances one builds. As history's most dangerous woman, Cleopatra proved that even in a world built by men, a woman could rise to the top, command armies, and change the course of history. Her name will forever be linked to a tale of ambition, intellect, and a kind of power that resonates across centuries. Cleopatra's influence is a powerful reminder that the impact of one individual can echo across centuries. While many know her as a queen who charmed powerful men and lived in the shadow of Roman politics, there's so much more to her legacy. She wasn't just a passive figure in history. She was a woman who consistently took control of her destiny. Her decisions were calculated and often risky, but they were essential to her survival and the survival of her kingdom. Cleopatra's story teaches us that leadership isn't just about being born into power. It's about what you do with the opportunities you're given and how you navigate the challenges in your way. Her reign marked the final chapter of an independent Egypt before it was fully absorbed into the Roman Empire. In her battle to protect Egypt, Cleopatra didn't just defend her kingdom. She defended her people, her culture, and her identity. While her kingdom may have fallen, her story remains timeless. She remains a symbol of resilience and a reminder that intelligence, strategy, and boldness can define a person's legacy. Cleopatra didn't just shape Egypt's history. She shaped the very narrative of power itself. Her life, full of triumphs and defeats, continues to inspire generations, proving that even in the most challenging times, one person can make an impact that resonates long after they're gone.